You remember kids used to call me Billy Crams Tons as a third grade joke? Like, Billy crams tons of crayons in his butt. Which I didn't, but it's really impossible to cram a bunch of crayons in a butt. This is Rebooting the Beast, a podcast in two parts. I'm Matt Molinaro.
And I'm Ed Burke. In the first episode, we review an original piece of media, and in the second one, we discuss the reboot. And here we are at the reboot, or based on that quote, the rebut.
The rebut. Wow. I mean, can I just tell you how hard it was to find a quote?
Listen, whenever we are... So, listeners, spoiler alert, in case you haven't figured it out, Matt and I trade off who's responsible for the quote. And whenever I'm watching something and it's really bad, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not the one responsible for finding a quote in this movie.
Oh my gosh. I try to write down the quote while I'm watching the movie, even if I'm watching it, like, without taking notes, if I'm going to watch it multiple times or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll always try to write it down, like, on my phone, even if I just have it on my hand. And usually I have a few I could pick from, or, like, I'll write down sort of part of the quote and then Google it, and I'll be able to find it based on what I wrote down. In this one, every time I looked at Davey because of a quote, because bless Davey, my partner, who watches all of these with me, every time I looked at him for a quote, I had such a visceral reaction going on
Yeah.
that I would not have been able to type.
Yeah.
So this week we're discussing the reboot. If you listened to last week's episode, you know we're doing Power Rangers, or Sabins or Saban's Power Rangers, that was titled, from 2017.
Correct. Yes.
Sabins? Sabins?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Saban.
Let's go with Saban.
I think that's important because I think they the rights have been kind of moved around from Power Rangers here and there. And this might be trivia, might not be trivia, because it might not happen, but there was going to be a franchise built out of this.
Yeah.
And then it didn't do so well, spoiler alert. So they kind of scrapped that, but I know Hasbro, yes, Hasbro has bought the rights to it.
Matt, do you Hasbro?
Are you real? But they bought the rights to it, and they're working with some sort of production company, and they want to do a reboot. I don't know if they're going to start over.
They better.
Or continue with this.
No, they better start over.
What? And, oh, by the way, I just have to say this. It wasn't in this episode, but listeners, we have another podcast called Cool Story, plug, but I'm mentioning it because what a fool I am. The Cool Story podcast covers the Wheel of Time book series, but also the TV show. And we just covered the finale of the TV show for season 3, which was great. And I mistakenly told everybody that... What's the actress's name?
Sophie Okonedo.
Sophie Okonedo was Rita Repulsa in this movie.
I can't believe I haven't gotten 100 messages about it.
I was watching videos for potential future episodes of, like, infamous or famous reboots, and on the same list as Power Rangers was Hellboy, so that's where I got it confused. I apologize.
Oh boy.
Wow. So I'd never seen this before. I'm assuming you have not either.
Definitely not, and definitely never will again.
Wow. There's a lot of... I didn't realize that there were other movies in between until after we had chosen this one. I thought they were, like, kind of direct-to-TV things.
Yeah.
But, if listeners, if you like this arc we just did, these two, and you would like us to revisit the Power Rangers if they don't do another reboot in the future, let us know, and there's plenty to choose from.
Yeah,
do another
I
little
feel like
duo.
I've had my fill of the Power Rangers for now, but if the fans demand it, I'll revisit it in the future.
Yeah, and that goes for any kind of suggestion, as you all know, but I'm really glad we chose this one. And
are you?
What an experience. I just didn't know what to expect. Yeah, and we got it. The cast. Let's talk about the cast.
Let's talk about the cast, because there are some very
interesting
big
choices.
Names in this movie. Big names, interesting choices.
Yes.
We've got Bryan Cranston as Zordon.
Right. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. We've got Bill Hader as Alpha, the stupid little robot.
Which I thought I would love, because I
Same.
love Bill Hader.
Uh-huh. We've got Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa.
Which I thought was an interesting choice, but I've seen her as a villainous character in The Hunger Games before.
Sure.
So I thought maybe.
Uh-huh. We've got the actress who ends up playing the live-action Jasmine in Jasmine in Aladdin.
Yes.
We've got, okay, I know other people know who she is. I think she's just I'm too old to know her, but her name is Becky G. She's, I guess, a singer.
Yeah, I think she's a Latinx singer, mainly, and she's transitioned into acting. I think this was her big debut.
Choices. ...
There's also the Stranger Things guy, Jason Scott, was played by I don't know how you say his first name, Darcy Dacre Montgomery.
Sure.
I didn't recognize who he was. Davey recognized him right away, but
who does he play in Stranger Things?
He plays the brother of Sam.
Oh, really?
Remember with the mullet?
Yeah. Okay, all right. I guess I didn't recognize him without the mullet.
Yeah, it's the eyes. When I recognized him from somewhere, but Davey's like, "Oh, that's the Stranger Things guy," and then it's all in the eyes, baby. And we'll talk about the cameos later because it's kind of who even cares at that point. You saw the cameos, right?
I didn't know. I didn't even notice them, but then I read about them when I was researching the trivia for it.
Yeah, and did you see the after credits scene?
With where they were back in detention?
Oh, we'll talk about it. I just wanted to let you know there was one.
No, I didn't see it. I rarely.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you weren't scouring the screen.
Sticking around after the credits for more juicy nuggets.
Ew. Okay. On that note, do you want to do the summary?
I sure do.
Can we get into this?
Yeah.
Ready, here we go. When Earth is on the verge of an alien invasion, 5 teenagers who are infused with superhuman abilities must harness their newfound powers to battle this threat as the Power Rangers. Okay.
Yeah.
So, right from the jump, we're taking a sharp left turn from the source material.
I don't know. I mean, Rita Repulsa was sort of invading the Earth as an alien, right?
Were they aliens?
I mean, they were from another world and they were out in space. I guess it just depends on how you define an alien.
Were the original Power Rangers aliens on another planet?
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe. I don't know.
I didn't watch a lot of Power Rangers, but that just felt like a new thing. But Zordon and Rita are the two original Power Rangers, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're aliens.
Yeah, let's not bury the lead. And so the movie starts in the Cenozoic era of Earth. Where there is both dinosaurs and also spaceships.
Yeah. Yes, of course. And this Power Rangers, who are in this movie, let's just say right away, their costumes are not morph suits and helmets. They're
armory.
Armory. Davey described them as Halo. They look like from the game Halo, or with bike helmets. They're armory. Yeah, they're very Shelly in armory. I know there's other versions of Power Rangers that are more futuristic, though. But
yeah.
Cenozoic era. By the way, remember last episode when we talked about how 2 of the dinosaurs weren't dinosaurs?
Yes.
I looked into it, and the pterodactyl's not technically a dinosaur either.
Yeah, I know.
WTF. Anyway, we'll get into the dinosaurs later. But so Cenozoic era Earth, Zordon and alien, Rita, dinosaurs and spaceships.
Yeah, and let's just talk about how this movie rewrote the history of the Earth to be that the rocket that destroyed the dinosaurs was actually caused by Zordon wanting to prevent Rita from taking over the planet.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened. It's like Zordon calls out to, I guess, Alpha, yeah. Which we're, I guess, meant to believe is whatever the robot will be, to do a meteor smash.
Yes, that's correct.
Because Rita's going to take over the planet. Because we watch Rita kill the Yellow Ranger at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And she's the Green Ranger, by the way. And Zordon is the red. And there's like a big crystal thing in the background. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening? And then what does that mean? Summon a meteor strike. Who are you talking to? What is Alpha? What does that mean? Summon a meteor strike. You could just summon a
apparently
meteor?
he's some sort of robotic god who can make a meteor strike the earth and destroy all life on the planet and then send Rita into the depths of the ocean.
I mean, honestly, what's the weird? Very strange. Very strange.
Yes.
Very strange. And then where did he even get those little jewels? I don't even really.
The jewels he was with the other Rangers who were all killed, and so he was collecting their jewels. Yeah,
I got it. So he has the little jewels or whatever. What are we calling them in this movie?
Coins?
Coins?
Power coins? Yeah.
Power coins. And he like buries them in the earth, sort of, magically, and says...
And I think the meteor kind of like seals them and protects them.
Yeah, and he says, seek the strong. Seek someone. Some bullshit.
And then we cut to the present day.
Yes.
Where two boys are sneaking a cow into a locker room, and one of them comments that he already milked the cow, and then the other boy says, "This is a boy. There's only one udder." And so I think we're meant to believe that the other boy jerked off a cow and didn't notice.
Yes, and I think they even make like a milk joke.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't milk.
Yeah.
This was the other scene of which I almost chose my quote from, so you're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very... By the way, what did you think of the graphics of the last scene, the special effects so far?
Let's talk about the special effects. There are moments where it looks okay, but I would say by and large, they're really, really bad.
Really Mortal Kombat, PlayStation.
Very Mortal
2.
Kombat.
Maybe 3. Yeah, I agree. There are moments of things that look cool, and I know it's 2017. There was like a vibe that was going on with CGI and all that in that era, don't you think?
Well, I feel like it was kind of the era of like Transformers, and so everything sort of had that like Michael Bay Transformer explosion sort of vibe.
Oh, God. Sheesh. So, yeah. Anyway, we're back with the cow, and it's sort of a pointless nonsense scene. I guess they stole the mascot.
Something.
It's kind of unclear. They stole a cow and jerked it off. All right?
Like
Two
you
teenagers
do.
stole a cow and jerked it off. That's what we're watching, okay? You're welcome.
Just your average Friday night, you know?
It doesn't make any sense. And then, is this the car accident scene?
It is. They flee from the cops in... I don't know what camera technique they use in this movie, but it is very jarring and unpleasant to watch.
Very. It's not cool. It's jarring. It's unpleasant. It feels like you're playing a video game, like you're playing Crazy Taxi or Grand Theft Auto or something.
Yes.
And you have that sort of stationary car frame you're seeing around what's going on outside the window, and the camera's kind of like spinning. But nothing is happening outside the window that's fast enough.
No.
To justify how fast they're trying to make it seem like they're going.
Yes.
It's really strange. And they have this really crazy chase away from campus security, by the way, before it's even police.
Right.
That they're never going to get away from the way they do it. It's such a bad escape scene that's supposed to be like really high energy. And I was just like irritated.
And they like crash into a bunch of different cars, like slam through a chain link fence.
Oh my God.
Like they would go to jail for this. They would be in so much trouble.
So much trouble. Forget about the freaking cow.
Yeah.
And then they'd also be probably dead because the car flips over, I feel like. It's crazy. And then it just cuts to 3 weeks later, and the kid in the car was Jason, the Red Ranger. Spoiler alert. And he is now on house arrest with like an ankle monitor with his dad, who is the guy from something. He looks familiar too.
Oh, yeah, the guy from something.
You know what I mean? He looks... Oh, yeah, the guy from something. It's David Denman is the actor. I don't know what he's from, but he is so familiar. Let me look. Oh, The Office. He was on The Office.
Okay. I never saw The Office, so...
You've never seen an episode of The Office?
Not in entirety. I've seen, like, I recognize the memes and I've seen, like, clips and stuff, but I've never watched an episode.
Okay. He was Pam's douchey ex-boyfriend. Did you watch Mayor of Easttown?
Yes.
He was in that.
Okay.
You're like, I don't care.
Great. Moving on. So he has an ankle monitor. He's in detention, and he immediately this is when we're introduced to Billy Cranston, who ends up being the Blue Ranger. He's the nerd. And he is, in this movie, autistic and is like sorting his crayons and gets bullied, and Jason defends him, and that happens.
The acting in this movie is now showcased at its height, I would say, in this detention scene that's very badly a ripoff of like Breakfast Club kind of
Matt,
thing.
There are okay, I'm not even joking when I tell you that they actually were inspired by Breakfast Club for this movie.
Oh, shut
That's
up.
like a documented fact.
Well, it's not inspired by. It's like, well, let's do a detention scene and like literally throw the tropes in here and say like direct quotes. It was so dumb. It was so boring. It was so pointless. And the acting was so bad.
Terrible.
Acting... Jason's not too bad, even though he's like full on just like a Captain America character the whole movie, giving random monologues to people that he doesn't know.
Correct.
Billy's character is
Not
so
good.
Annoying.
Very annoying.
The whole movie is so annoying. And the bully is straight out of Degrassi.
100%. Yes. So this is where we also meet Kimberly, who ends up being the Pink Ranger. And she's kind of like got a chip on her shoulder. But then, so then she goes into like the bathroom and is confronted by two girls. And I have so many issues with this scene. So
Thank you.
She's confronted by two girls who are like, meet us in the bathroom. And it's apparently like her two former friends. And they literally say, we're cutting you out of our life. And to punctuate this moment, they decided that the girls should be holding a 19 by 24 size photograph of the three of them. And they get a pair of scissors and cut her out of the photo and then stab the photo of her against the wall.
The scissors are comically large as well.
Okay, this presumes that in 2017, children knew what a printed photograph was anymore. And number two, we find out in this scene that the reason that Kimberly is quote unquote like the outcast is because she sent like revenge porn around the school. She like shared a nude photograph of one of her friends and texted it to people.
Yes.
And she's a hero in this movie.
Okay. And at this point, we don't know that. At this point, they bury that lead to way later. We just think she's sort of like not cool anymore.
Right.
They kind of make it look like she just sort of grew apart with this like cool girl group, and now she's like edgy, quote unquote. By the way, have you seen those memes that are like, "This is the girl written by men"? Like in
yeah, of course, yeah.
This character is to a T. That character, to a T.
Yeah, she should have been Rita. If her storyline is, oh no, I'm an outcast because I sent nude photos of my friend to the whole school, she should have been Rita Repulsa.
Oh, thank you. Or, I mean, there certainly should have been something. If you're going to put that in there, for what reason, by the way, did that serve any purpose? There has to be some kind of contrition or something.
Right.
Something. Or maybe have the, I don't know, the victim of it be a character.
Right. Maybe she should have been the Pink Ranger.
Hello. Anyway.
Okay.
Really weird. But at this point, all we know is that she is being bullied by a bunch of Project Runway
popular
designers
girls
with scissors in their pockets.
Yeah.
And she is deciding to do something really edgy that we've never seen done before. She's going to cut her hair.
In the bathroom, at the mirror, she pulls out the scissors out of the wall and starts hacking off her hair. Apparently, she actually did cut her hair. Like, that was her cutting her real hair. But also, I'm sorry, you're 16 years old in a bathroom, a high school bathroom with a pair of craft scissors. And then she walks out looking like she straight up had a salon quality haircut.
Salon. Yeah, 100%. And it's just so corny. And speaking of corny, at this point, it's probably been all over the movie by now. I have to mention the soundtrack because...
Oh, please do.
I'm sure at some point I don't remember the music during the scene, but I can just picture it in my mind based on what I remember from the movie. And I'm sure it was some sort of emo, screamo, late 90s, early aughts.
Do you know what the music should have been? Biff Naked. Do you remember Biff Naked?
Oh my god, yes, just a moment of weakness. It was so... It was Grand Theft Auto. It was Crazy Taxi. This movie was Crazy Taxi and Grand Theft Auto in a movie. The soundtrack was so high school in the early aughts if you had a scene-style haircut.
Yes.
I want to look up the soundtrack right now, actually. Because I have to know just a band or two that played.
Well, I know they have a cover of a couple different songs that I recognized.
Oh, definitely that. Here we go. The Power Rangers soundtrack, 2017. Features. Where are the songs? Oh my god, are they all fake? No. It looked for a second like they were all written for the movie, and that's not real. Okay, the Raconteurs. Very that. 21 Pilots.
Oh my god.
That I think says it all. George Strait. Oh my god. Explosions in the Sky. Social Distortion. Ooh, but there was Destiny's Child for a minute. Yeah, it was very heavy on the teen rock movement.
For sure. Yeah.
And it punctuated everything. Every scene.
Yeah.
It was so cornball. It made everything corny to the max.
Yeah.
Speaking of corny, we then find out that Billy wants to hang out with Jason because he wants him to do some sort of favor. That's never really clear, but they don't really know each other.
This is the most,
convoluted,
shoehorned in, weird thing relationship.
To get them together.
And the next scene makes absolutely no sense.
No, he's like, let's hang out. I want to use your car. And he's like, okay, fine, I will, but I have an ankle monitor. And he's like, oh, I could fix it for you. And he's like, fuck that. No, I'm not going to do that. But then, Jason's at home with his dad arguing and disappointed at him. Jason's home life is a PSA for domestic violence in the house or something like that. Every time 100%. He's at home, they're screaming and yelling and he's crying. And so he goes and caves and goes to Billy's house to get the ankle monitor taken off.
Right, which Billy begins by wrapping some chicken wire around his leg and calling it a Faraday cage. And then he hacks into it, and it magically always now reports him as being at home, so it no longer will report him for being outside of the house, which, number one, I don't think would work. Number two, his parents would still know that he's not home.
Hello. And by the way, his hacking into it was the technology that we see in zoom and enhance technology in true crime shows. It was using tweezers and taking a SIM card out and putting it in something else. And it's very anticlimactic. They're trying to make it intense. Oh my god, is it going to happen in time? And you're just get to the point. And then speaking of things that make no sense. So now he's got the ankle monitor fixed, quote unquote, which I guess makes it waterproof later on.
Correct.
But the plan, the reason he wanted the car was to drive Billy to a gold mine in the desert.
Correct.
And this is when Billy says they go to the desert to this gold mine that, I don't know, Billy's dad knew about. It's very let's figure out how to get them to the desert. Means nothing. And Billy says to Jason that he's on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And Jason says, is that a workout thing? Thai Bo? 2017? What? Billy blanks?
Oh my god. Incredible.
Bizarre. Anyway, and then so they're in the desert. So they're doing their thing in the desert, and Jason doesn't know why he's out there in the first place, so he's like, I'm going to leave you. He's going to leave Billy in the desert alone?
Right, and he just goes wandering, and who should he happen upon but the Pink Ranger, coincidentally taking her clothes off to go swimming in some sort of lake by this mine.
Of course, because she's that girl written by men. And and speaking of a scene written by men, what is Billy's inclination when she jumps in the water? I have to save her. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Not Billy, I'm sorry, Jason. I have to save her. What am I going to do? Oh my god, she's in danger. But of course, she's not like other girls. She's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. And meanwhile, we get these random ass scenes that this is how they're going to this is their grand scheme to introduce other characters. We just get a random ass cutscene for the first time seeing some girl that you could kind of mistake for Kimberly at first, standing on a rock, listening to heavy metal music. But she's a girl. What?
And then you see another guy who you've never seen before looking at her.
Sitting on like a car, I think, or like on a, I don't know, on something overturned.
Eating out of a tuna can or something.
Yeah. And you're like, okay. And that's it. Moving on.
But then, okay. Then this is, so Billy apparently doesn't just want to like be at this gold mine and look at something. He legitimately sets off some dynamite to explode something in the mine.
What the fuck?
And all the teens come running toward the explosion. And Trini, who ends up being the Yellow Ranger, who's the girl who was listening to rock music, like is up above them, above where the explosion was, and they're like, "Hey, you!" And then the fucking rock wall below her like crumbles, and she would have died in that rock slide.
Dead.
But instead, she is absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine. She survives a rock slide, I wrote. And then we have a scene. The scene is like all of them randomly together after Billy did an explosion. And they're all sort of just like yelling to each other, like, who are you? They're like mad at each other. They don't even know each other. Right. There's like tension already. It
makes no sense. Like the shoehorning of their connection to each other is absolute nonsense.
Yeah. And then they find this big shiny glass or whatever behind what they blew up, which, why, how, who? It's not even that far, by the way. By the way, it didn't blow up that much rock.
No.
To uncover this massive thing. But they find the crystal gem things here. The crystal gems, like in Steven Universe. Yeah, the coins. How? Unclear. Unclear.
But they immediately start pickaxing them out of the wall, and then they like realize mine security is on them, so we get yet another car chase scene.
Terrible.
And there's like so many stupid things about this scene.
Yes.
But eventually they're like racing against a train, and then they get hit by the fucking train and would have been absolutely annihilated.
Hit by the train.
We don't, and it's like, again, that's terrible, like slow graphics, whatever.
Yeah, it's terrible drive sequence that's not scary at all, that they try to make scary with like ramped up music. And they wake up.
Wait. Before that, we get a cut to
that's right.
A fishing boat where Jason's dad is a fisherman, and they are like pulling up the net, and in the net is a mummy woman. And they just like put her with all of the fish in the freezer.
Yes.
And eventually we get a scene that we'll come back to of the police finding her. But they're all just like, oh, weird, there's a mummy woman with all the fish. Well, I guess let's just put her with all the fish.
Yes. And by the way, she wakes up, quote unquote, like 6 times.
Yes.
Because she wakes up in the scene. Her green eyes start glowing. But we'll see her awaken like 4 more times before she really wakes up.
Yeah. But yes, then we get the Power Rangers waking up the next morning because apparently their power coins protected them from a train running them over. Yeah,
now they're in. Okay, it makes no sense how they survived this. They never explain it. They did show the coins floating in the air as they were dying. But then they. None of this makes any sense. They survive. Okay, remember this. Okay, they survive a train crash because of power coins in their vicinity, right? Mm-hmm. When they just got them. Now they're all awake, and they all wake up in their beds, transported. They're also transported back home.
Correct, with no memory. And also, as we learn in the next scene, it's been a full day and a half.
A full day and a half, and no one is concerned about where they were very much. Not very much. And they all have now superhuman strength to the point where they're so unaware of it that they're like crushing their cell phones in their hands and breaking the sink by putting any pressure on them whatsoever.
Let's talk about the other major plot hole that is literally never addressed, which is the absolutely annihilated minivan of Jason's that it never comes up again.
Right. Also, Oh my god, I don't understand these effing what are they doing? So they all go back to school after this happens, like nothing happened, like normal. And they run into each other, but of course only the three of them run into each other, because remember, the other two live in the desert.
Correct, yeah.
As far as we know. And so the gems, they all say, "Oh, you have this gem? How are we alive?" And they put the gems down out in plain sight on like the
lunch counter.
The lunch counter, as you're like where you have your trays as you're getting food. And the gems start to like vibrate and make everything in the vicinity, well, not everything, but like random things in the vicinity of them start to like melt.
And explode.
For no reason.
It's never explained again. Nothing else ever works that way.
And they grab the gems and like kind of leave the room, and no one really cares.
Correct.
Hello, everyone just saw like tray tables melt. Anyway, strange. And then we get the scene with like the douchey dad letting the cops investigate the mummy woman. And so I guess the Fisher people called the cops and said, "We found a mummy woman," and they said, "Okay, we'll send down one guy."
One cop when we uncovered a fucking mummy woman.
One guy. So they send him down, and the guy gives him an attitude and says, like, "Good luck. Lock up when you're done." And the cop goes down and finds the mummy woman, who glows her green eyes again. There's some kind of crazy noise, and then we cut out of the scene, and we never find out what happened or how or what or who cares. There's a dead cop, I guess, and no one's investigating that.
Yeah. And then somehow, without any explanation, all 5 of the children are back at the site of the mine.
Yes.
And like, you know, as though they're like drawn to the scene of the crime or like pulled by some mysterious force, but it just feels absolutely cheesy.
Yes, especially the 2 people who live in the desert who have no connection to these other people.
Correct.
Know nothing about them. But Trini, can we talk about this moment? I cannot. If I had a drink in my mouth, I would have spit it out.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Are you talking about when she vertically climbs a mountain like a goat?
Oh. They have this scene of all of them standing at the site. Of course, no one else has uncovered this, even though an explosion happened and campus security, the mine security was all over this. It's not like roped off or anything. They're all at the scene, but Trini, she's like off like on a little cliff again, looking down at them. She didn't learn her lesson.
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, what about you?" Whatever. And she runs off camera, but they stay. And then we see in the background like this CGI Spider Woman climbing the rock wall at like this intense speed. It felt like those scenes in Twilight of the vampires running.
Yes.
It was so embarrassing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then they double down and have all the teenagers like, "Wait, she could do it. Maybe we could do it." So they all like start running and jumping and parkour, climbing and flying through the desert.
Correct.
To like Ashley Simpson.
Yes.
And
then they like dive into a crevasse that has like a pool at the bottom, and there's this very weird scene where they like dive for like first they see that they're glowing their colors, and the guy who plays the Black Ranger, who by the way, unbelievably hot.
Oh, so hot.
He goes, "I'm black," and he's an Asian man. And the black character, who is the Blue Ranger, says, "No, you're not." I did think that was kind of funny.
I did too, especially since they like at least made those corrections.
Yes. And then they dive down into the... No explanation as to why. They dive down into the water, and then, like, gravity reverses, and they fall out the bottom of the pool into, like, the gateway to a spaceship.
Yes. And can we just talk about this for a second? Because let's remember, they survived a train crash because they have the medallions, right?
Yes.
They can fly around, parkour, climb... And then they know how to do it. They just know how to do it. Which I guess in the show, they're like, it feels natural. So fine. They're now like superheroes, basically. Without any suits. No suits, nothing. Right? Superpower,
Correct.
breaking sinks. Also, they have now discovered they can like jump down like off of a cliff into nothingness and feel safe to do so, assuming they're just going to land. They didn't know there was water, but they could do that and land in a little bit of water and be totally fine. No scratches, nothing. Then, this is the part I really want to punctuate. When they dive down to go find the, upside down world where they come out of the ceiling, they're underwater holding their breath for
minutes.
Ever.
Yes.
No struggling. So they can just breathe underwater now. They're Mario. The music should have been playing and they should have been shooting fireballs at octopi because they held their breath forever with no problem. I just want to mention that right now.
Also, I just want to point out, this is now 45 minutes into the movie.
It's 2 hours.
It's a 2-hour movie, and so far, this is all that's happened.
Yeah, don't worry. Most of the other notes, most of the notes are in the...
Correct, yes.
There's a lot
Once it gets to
action.
the Power Rangers part, it's just like, all right, cool.
Okay, so they find the ship.
Yes. Alpha, I will say, at least Alpha looks better than he does in the show.
Yeah, he looks cool. They find the robot. They're hiding from him. They think the robot's going to, attack them. I love Bill Hader. Okay? I love Bill Hader. I think he's hilarious. This was not the right choice for casting. The voice actor should have been able to be realistically a robot in some way at all. This was not a robot voice. It was I don't know how we were supposed to make this voice actor a robot. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
He did not sound like a robot at all. And I'm not talking about the robot sound. He was just a comedian, like a Olaf. You know what I mean? He was like a little, and he was so annoying. The jokes were so bad.
The jokes were terrible.
So bad. And he always had some stupid thing to say. And every time he was talking, I was like, oh, I'm so mad. This is Bill Hader because I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated it. He was maybe one of the worst parts of the movie.
Well, speaking of, then we meet Zordon, who is Bill Cranston, who is stuck in the spaceship. Apparently, before he died, his consciousness got transferred into the spaceship, which that's not a thing. Mm-hmm. But he delivers the flattest performance in this movie. You could tell he was just there to pick up his paycheck.
Oh yeah, and the way they depicted him. Do you remember those pincushion games, toys?
Absolutely. Yes, where you would stick your face in it and it would do the image of your face in the pins.
Yes.
That's exactly what he looks like.
That's what he looks like. And for some reason, he's not in the show he's in a tube. He's not in a stationary spot. He has a wall he can kind of scroll across back and forth for some reason, as though he can't just see the whole room where he is.
Right.
And I guess they just liked the special effect of it. They keep zooming him across, back and forth, across the wall. It's so dumb. Yeah. It looks so really dumb. Speaking of dumb, all the kids are looking at each other because, they don't know what's going on. And Alpha 5 gives this line. This was written down on a piece of paper and delivered and then made the final cut. Why do you keep looking at each other? Is that a human thing? Fascinating. Why do you keep looking at each other? Is that a human thing? What? Fascinating. So there you go.
All right, let's broad stroke the rest of this movie.
Yeah, Zordon tells them they need to protect the Zeo crystal, and they have to. Then they get sent to Rita Repulsa world in their dreams.
Yeah, he shows them a vision of quote unquote the future of Rita Repulsa basically destroying Earth.
Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa makes her appearance.
Okay, listen, I love Elizabeth Banks. This was one of the worst things I've ever seen her do.
I cannot agree more. And we've seen Cocaine Bear.
We've seen Cocaine Bear. She was an executive producer on that, and I still think this was worse.
What were they thinking with this character being Rita Repulsa?
I have two things to say. One, she got a case of the Madonnas and decided to do some vague accent that had no relevance to anyone else in the movie or any language ever spoken.
Yes.
Number two, apparently Elizabeth Banks decided that the acting equals standing around with your mouth open because she could have caught flies with that thing throughout the entire movie.
Literally, I wrote down all she does is breathe at them, stand around with her mouth agape, and show off her metal tooth. It's
Yes.
so, and the costume is like this weird black, like viney. It's so weird. Weird choices.
It's bad. It looks very cheesy. Yeah, and for some reason she is into gold, and because she wants to build Goldar, so she like goes around ripping people's teeth out. She's like starts off her character journey by murdering the homeless and stealing their gold teeth.
Oh my god, yes. There's got to be a different way to get gold.
Right.
Girl. But yeah, that's what we see her, murdering the homeless and stealing their teeth. And this makes the news, unlike anything else, but
yes.
So Jason, everyone is like, no, we're not going to do it. Jason's like, the only one left over. He's the Red Ranger. He's got to be the hero or whatever.
Yeah.
So he tells everybody, okay, fine. We got to do this. It's the right thing to do. We got to come back 4 p.m. tomorrow. Trust me. We gotta fight with one another, not against each other. And they don't know him, but they're like, yeah, you're right. What?
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's stupid. And then we get the one. Now they're trying to character build on the 2 characters we don't know.
Yes.
So we see a really quick scene of Zach, the Black Ranger, with an older woman in a bed. So it's like his ailing mom, I guess.
Yeah, she's like ill and has cancer, maybe.
And then the next scene really makes me want to rip my hair out of my head.
Okay.
Trini, who, by the way, no disrespect, I don't know this actress, is probably the worst actress in the entire movie.
Becky G.
All of her whole character is just going, seriously? What?
Yeah, she is the most undeveloped character in the entire movie. Although we literally learn later that she is a queer woman.
Kind of?
And that is the extent of the character development they give her.
That's my issue with this, because I've read all the trivia saying, oh, she's a queer character. She's a lesbian or she's queer in some way in this movie. And I don't see it, because all we get is the scene with Trini at her dinner table, and we're meant to show how different she is from her family. It's like a dad, a mom, and 2 kids staring at her. She's different because she's wearing a beanie and a flannel and has a nose ring. But her family is like traditional. The mom is pregnant and like incredibly characterized as like an overbearing maniac who can't handle like a cuss word. And we got to get something going on with her. What's going on? She doesn't talk to us anymore. Oh no, she's so challenged and different. And she says like, oh, we were in the desert and we did all this shit. And she tells what actually happened. And she's like, pee in a cup.
Yeah.
And then the character development later we'll get to, but that, I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot.
So then we get some training montage scenes where they fight holograms of putty people.
Oh my god.
Putty patrollers.
The putty patrollers, instead of being people in morph suits, are these random rock amalgamations with extra limbs hanging off of them.
Yeah, they kind of just look like legs with like 6 appendages.
Very strange and very strangely non-intimidating, but they try to morph a couple times, but they can't morph and they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's see. They get the 3 rules of the Power Rangers, which are the same as the show, except for, they just say don't fight people unless they make you. Oh god.
Never escalate a conflict.
I just wrote down this note at this point. Oh my god, they are all so annoying.
Yes. They meet the Zords, but they're not ready for them.
No.
It's like teasing them, like, this could be yours if only you could morph.
Yes. And in the meantime, Billy somehow, on his own, we don't know how, because he's so smart and he's like climbing a ceiling and has like strings all over his walls, I guess, has located the Zeo crystal that everyone is looking for. It's underground or something around a Krispy Kreme, which must have had some big tie-in with this movie because there's a lot of Krispy Kreme.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, they clearly funded this movie because if you took a shot every time they say Krispy Kreme, you would be on the fucking ground.
100%. I mean, I love Krispy Kreme, so I'm all for it.
Oh,
but,
yeah. It's great.
So Billy finds the crystal, but tells no one. Keeps it to himself, not even his friends, and he's sure the Krispy Kreme is where the crystal is. So that happens just randomly in the background. They're all starting to bond. There's cornball music. They should start a band. One of them throws a note randomly at the other one that says we should start a band, and then later on that shows up as though we're supposed to think it's some kind of very emotional scene. Because it's something that happened in a training montage.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
we get a scene of who's able to get in the Zord? Is it Billy?
Oh,
Zach?
It's Zach, the Black Ranger, who's kind of the rock and rolly sort of like troublemaker kid.
Yeah, he does what he wants.
He nearly kills all of them by mistake.
Yeah, he gets in a beetle. It looked like, but I later found out that it's supposed to be a mastodon.
Yeah, it's the mastodon, but it does not. None of the things look like the things they are, except for the T-Rex.
Yeah, it had 6 legs or 8 legs.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Anyway, and it just goes crazy. And he doesn't he just kill them all? He crashes them over all of them and explodes and
yeah, he crashes through the wall and nearly runs over all of the other Power Rangers and Alpha.
Yeah. What?
So there's that.
And then they get mad at him, and then Billy kind of morphs, and they don't explain why, but he doesn't go all the way. And then we get a scene of Jason lecturing Zordon, because we find out that Zordon's plan is when they're able to morph, because there's some kind of weird magical thing in between them when they're morphing.
Yeah, it'll open the morphin grid, and that will allow Zordon to
come through
and take a physical form again.
And what does that mean?
And so
one
Jason,
of their bodies or his own?
It's never explained.
Okay, weird.
And then, so Jason thinks it's all a big scheme. None of this was about them. It was just about him getting his body back. But then we get one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I cannot wait.
Where Elizabeth Banks is still hungry for gold. And so she goes to rob a jewelry store, and she interacts with this jewelry clerk saleswoman who stands there and lets Rita Repulsa stick her fingers into her mouth.
I was like, okay.
After letting her finger her mouth, she offers her a bunch of gold rings and bracelets and stuff, which Elizabeth Banks apparently improvised her eating them, which is not necessary. But then she kind of melts all the gold in the store to form her Rita Repulsa staff.
Mm-hmm.
And then a cop shows up and is like, "Lady, get down." And she turns around. He shoots her with a shotgun, and then she explodes everything and lights the building on fire. So she murders a cop, a saleswoman, and the 2 other customers that were in the store at the time.
Yeah. Okay. I wrote down what was Elizabeth Banks thinking right now.
Oh, I have a line, Matt, a note on my notes that says, "If I was Elizabeth Banks, I would be so embarrassed.
I'd be mortified because nothing makes any sense. First of all, like you said, the mouth thing. They must have just told her, every time you're supposed to be doing something intense, just open your mouth more and more. Because
right.
all of the slow-mo scenes of, the things exploding, she's just, doing this weird slow-mo detox mouth thing.
Yes.
And also, I just realized what her look looks like. She looks like in America's Next Top Model, the season where they all had to be in coffins for a photo shoot.
Yes.
The one who played Rage and was all red. That's what Rita Repulsa looks like, but just in black. Just like her.
Yeah.
And what is her power?
It's never defined. She can kind of do whatever she wants.
The building, somehow. She melts gold and eats it, and has the power of, doing gold things. She finger bangs people in the mouth. I mean... What? Then we have the Midnight Society at the campfire. I mean, the Power Rangers.
Yeah, where we get one line of dialogue from each of them that help them reveal their characters to each other and bond, and it's just bullshit garbage.
Except for Kimberly. She's like, skip me. And then, here's where we get Trini coming out, quote unquote. This is the only evidence of her being a queer character. She says, I've been to 3 schools in 3 years. It's easier moving around. And then Zach says, boyfriend troubles? And she says nothing. And he says, girlfriend troubles? And she says nothing. And she says that her family likes labels. That's it.
Yep.
Wow. I feel so seen. Hey, lesbians. Hey, bisexuals.
Yeah. What an iconic moment in film that will invariably make every queer person feel validated.
You shouldn't say that. When you say that's so gay, You wouldn't say that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top.
Come on. Come on, Hilary Duff.
Very annoying because that's it. And then I read all of this trivia about her being like the first LGBT character. And I don't know if the actress is, and that's wonderful if she is, but that is not a queer character.
No, not at all.
No. Anyway.
She's as gay as Dumbledore was in the Harry Potter books.
100%. By the way, the next scene, if you didn't see this same parallel, I'll die, between the scene with Rita and Trini in her dream, or whatever.
No. What is it?
McGettian and Egwene.
Oh my god. So, yeah, Rita Repulsa shows up and basically beats up and bullies Trini in her dream and, like, makes her, like, bring the Power Rangers to her at the docks so that she can, like, find out where the Zeo Crystal is. Because somehow, apparently Rita is also psychic. She knows that one of them knows where it is. Why she knows this, why she knows who they are or how to find them, we have no idea.
No. And she could, like, go to them in their dreams, but then she needs them to go to her?
Correct.
Huh? Okay.
Yep. So they fight at the docks. Rita just annihilates them. She ties all of them to a ship, and it says she somehow knows that Billy is the one that knows where the Zeo Crystal is. Mm-hmm. And she's like, tell me or I'll kill all of your friends one by one. And so he reveals it's at Krispy Kreme, yet another name drop. Mm-hmm. And we do get a line that is so stupid that it made me laugh, where she goes, Krispy Kreme, this is a special place? And he goes, very special.
I mean, very ridiculous, but we looked at each other and we were like, well, I mean,
yeah,
it is.
It is special. I do love Krispy Kreme.
It is, I mean, I know what this is for, but I don't disagree.
Also, apparently, the Power Rangers who are, able to survive a train crash and able to breathe underwater for minutes at a time.
Thank you.
She drops Billy into the ocean, and he's under the water for maybe 30 seconds, and that's enough to kill him.
Dead. He is dropped underwater for a very short period of time. They pull him up, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Dead. I don't understand. It's not emotional at all. And then they carry around his dead body like Weekend at Bertie's while they're sad about it.
Yep.
There's a weird version of Stand By Me playing. I'm sure it's nice in another context, but here it's very heavy-handed and cornball. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of them says he was a great kid who loved being a ranger. What? They were never even in a suit.
I know.
And then they're like, one of them goes, it's just 4 of us now. And I was like, okay, Beyonce. And then they like see the morph thing sort of opening, the little thing, and Zordon screams through the wall. It's so corny. And instead of coming out, he brings Billy back to life. What?
Yes, because, quote, only one can come back.
When was that part of this?
Apparently Zordon is a literal god who is able to bring people back from the dead.
But stuck in a wall and pincushions.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever.
And then it's Morphin Time, and they morph into the Power Rangers.
AKA, they stand around with their arms out and all look like they're about to take a massive shit.
Correct, yes.
While wind is blowing at them.
Yes, and meanwhile, Rita Repulsa raises Goldar, who is a, giant kaiju monster made of gold.
Mm-hmm. The gold effects at times looked okay, and most of the times looked like cheese.
Bad, yeah. They fight some putties, and then they get their Zords, and we get the original Go-Go Power Rangers music, which I thought was a moment of fun.
Yes, and I did like Rita saying things like, make my monster grow, which we saw in the first episode.
Yes. She goes about destroying the city while searching for Krispy Kreme, which sounds like me on a bad day.
I mean, amen. If I'm hungry and I'm trying to get at Krispy Kreme, watch out.
So the Power Rangers fight with their Zords, and there's lots of explosions.
And they're like, oh yeah, and the Zords don't look like you said, the Zords don't look like the dinosaurs.
No, except for the T-Rex, who kind of looks more like a velociraptor than a T-Rex, to be honest.
Yes. It was very strange. It was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And it's so corny. They're like yippee-ki-yay and doing all the cornball bullshit while they're like running around. Rita Repulsa eats a donut.
I just want to point out that at some point Kimberly in her flying pterodactyl like drops like a pterodactyl turd or something on the hood of the car of two
Oh,
girls
yeah.
in a like Camaro or something. And she's like, karma's a bitch or something like that to imply like she got them back. So number one, we're meant to understand that these are the two girls who bullied her at the beginning of the movie, who we saw for all of 15 seconds. Number two, that she can spot them from a fighter jet.
Right.
And number three, that it is appropriate for her, the person who sent out revenge porn on a friend, to get revenge on other people.
Because they cut her out of a picture.
Correct.
Wow. I totally forgot about that part of it. I was just like, wow, she could see them from that far away. And they do this with a few other characters too, where they could somehow from their Zords zoom in, and see exactly the person they're looking to help or hurt.
Because coincidentally, the Red Ranger's dad is in a car accident. There's like 500 car accidents in this movie. And he as the Red Ranger saves his dad from a burning truck.
Who at first is like, no, don't save me. Because he's, I guess, scared. But what's the alternative? Dying?
Right. I'd be like, sure, weird red suited person, get me out of the burning vehicle.
Then I'm strapped into upside down.
I mean, if Charles Manson was the one pulling me out of a burning vehicle, I would still say yes.
Hello.
Like,
hello.
What are you doing?
I was like,
anyway.
Go ahead, save your dad, girl. So he saves his dad. And then we get the fight scene is going, and it's not going well. The Rangers are not they're just shooting at this gold thing, and the bullets are going through, but they just keep continuously doing it, destroying Angel Grove. And then they kind of decide some sort of move that they know how to do somehow, and Kimberly picks up, I think, Billy, drops him his Zord, and there's like a shockwave, and it knocks them to the ground. And we're meant to believe like, oh, maybe it's over now, right? LOL. Yeah.
Right.
But we know there's like another 20 minutes in the movie. But then this is more of like, what are our powers?
Right. Because go ahead.
Wait. So she gets back up. She has Goldar. Goldar gets back up. He's fine. And he digs for the crystal. They push. The Power Rangers are like, hold the line. They think it's like supposed to be some kind of thing. Like they think all hope is lost, and the best they could do is just hold him off from getting the crystal for some time, I guess, by shooting at him and standing there. So they do that. Goldar just pushes them into each other and into the crevasse.
Full of lava. And they like show them like practically burning to death in the lava. Yeah. And it was at this point where I was like, here's the thing about this movie. It is way too scary for children and way too shitty for adults.
Yeah, because it wasn't intense enough to be actually hope is lost. But it was way too like intense for what was happening. And it was incredibly lazy animation to just have them all sort of like in fire, and then they emerge as the Megazord somehow.
Yes. Because
they got pushed together and thrown in the lava.
Yes.
Which they survived. But by the way, Billy in 30 seconds of water will drown.
Correct.
And
they beat Goldar.
They beat Goldar. Rita falls backwards into Goldar and like melds with him.
Yeah, she merges with Goldar.
And he glows green and does all this random stuff. And the way they kill him, he trips.
Yeah.
That's it.
They trick him into falling into the crevasse.
He trips. That's it.
Yep. The end.
Okay. And they have swords that they use and whatever. And she says, others will come. It can't last.
Truly the very best part of the movie that had me go, that can't be it. Other than tripping him into the crevasse, is Rita Repulsa like launches herself at the Megazord, and they fully bitch slap Rita Repulsa into space, and she freezes to death.
She flies away when he bitch slaps her into space. Like those like memes where they like cut someone out and fling them into space and play that music.
Yes.
It was like that. She goes flipping in the background like Katy Perry at her concerts, just flying into space. It is so comical. It's so comical. It looks like a cartoon. They might as well have had her going, wee!
It was so funny to just have them take this massive evil that's been kicking their ass the whole time and then just go like boop and knock her into space.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like a callback to something that happens earlier in the movie, which was incredibly obvious because it was so obvious the way it happened. And he says, oh, you just slapped him. Isn't that weird? And then because they don't trust their audience, they make Billy say, oh, I get it. That was like what you said earlier. Oh.
Yeah.
And then they have a cameo really quickly of Amy Jo Johnson and what's his name? The Green Ranger.
Tommy Oliver?
No,
that's the character.
Jason David Frank.
Yeah.
As Angel Grove citizens, like looking up at the Megazord or whatever. And by the way the Megazord works is very strange. They're all in like glass pods and they all control a part of it. So sometimes they can move very easily, but sometimes they're like, throw your arm, move the left leg, like it's Twister.
Yes, however, I just want to point out that this whole sequence ends with the Megazord pelvic thrusting.
Pelvic thrusting. And now they're all friends. The end.
Yeah.
But wait, there's an after credits scene.
Oh, wait, is this the detention scene?
Yeah, with the green jacket.
Yeah.
There's a little after credits scene because there was going to be sequels where there's a little empty chair in detention and they're calling out one more member and it's Tommy Oliver. Tommy Oliver, are you present? And it's got the green jacket, so you know it's the Green Ranger.
Yeah, they were fully setting this up for more movies, but this movie was so bad that they never made them.
Yeah.
Okay, I have some trivia that is really fun.
I can't wait.
The guy who plays the Black Ranger, the hottest man in the movie, his name is, I'm not sure if it's Ludi or Ludi, Ludi Lin. He, in preparation for his role in this movie, by the way, he was also in Black Mirror. Do you remember the episode where the guys have sex with each other in the video game?
Oh, I don't know.
It was like season maybe 3 or something like that. He played that character, but in preparation for his role as high schooler Zach, he blended into his old high school successfully, even telling some students he was a transfer student and asking for a tour until one of his old teachers recognized him and was like, "What are you doing here?"
Oh my God.
Which is the most like never been kissed plotline, weird, creepy thing to do. Like, why do you need to like character act for high school? You know what's happening here.
Yes.
Anyway.
I mean, you didn't need to do that for this movie, but good on you.
This is the first Power Rangers film to not feature Bulk and Skull. Thank God.
I know. I mean, maybe they could have been. Maybe that was what we missed.
Maybe that was what was missing. In Billy's bedroom on the shelf are toys of Squat, Babu, and Finster from the original Power Rangers. Fun
That's
callback. Because Trini was such a trailblazing LGBT character, this film was rated 18 plus in Russia because she says, "My family doesn't like labels."
Wow.
So gay.
Wow.
Here's the true amazing thing that could have made the movie even more of a disaster. Do you know who was originally offered the role of Rita Repulsa?
No.
Iggy Azalea.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? I feel like that would have been such an experience. Do you think she would have rapped? Would they have worked rapping into Rita Repulsa if Iggy Azalea had played her?
Oh, 100%. How could they not? How could they not?
Oh my God. All right.
Wow.
So let's talk ratings.
Let's talk ratings. It was rated IMDb 5.9.
Mm-hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter is 51%. And
yes.
the audience meter is 65%.
Higher than I would have imagined.
Very much so.
I'm going to give this movie a 1 because it was bad on pretty much every level you could imagine. Bad writing, bad acting, bad costuming, bad special effects, bad storyline, bad pacing, bad camera work.
Yeah.
There was very little redeemable about this movie.
Yeah, I really am having a hard time picking anything outside of the 1 range. I think I'm going to give it a 1.25. I'll give it a little bit more credit because I liked the cameos.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the idea of, doing a Power Rangers reboot.
Yeah.
And I liked that they corrected the, clear racial stereotypes with casting. That was cool. It was nice of them. The Black Ranger was hot.
So hot. He was the main point of focus for me during the movie.
Same. He was a big like pull to the movie. That was helpful. Yeah, I don't know what else I could have Krispy Kreme. Yeah, that's the other thing. You get an extra little bonus for that. So
now I really want a Krispy Kreme.
I know. We're close to one, but we're way closer to Dunkin' Donuts, like a million Dunkin' Donuts. So it's like...
Yeah, same.
It always feels like
I just realized we haven't announced what we're doing next week.
Oh, we haven't. Oh, by the way, we haven't picked this. Well, I think it's pretty obvious, but Beauty or Beast here.
Oh, Beast, for sure.
The beastliest of the beasts. Yeah, we haven't decided next week. Do you have any ideas or thoughts?
Why don't it's been on our spreadsheet forever. Why don't we do Psycho?
I think it's time. I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one to watch.
Yeah. Plus, the Psycho, the original, is such a iconic thing. Maybe it'll be a good turnaround from the Power Rangers.
Yeah, definitely. Should we watch an episode of Bates Motel or do something like that for the Patreon?
There was a for the reboot. So there's a 1998 Psycho reboot.
Yeah.
But Bates Motel, yeah, we could do that for an episode of the Patreon. That would be fun.
To kind of tie it in. Oh, I know the reboot with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, I've never seen the original or the reboot. So
I've not seen the reboot, but I know of it.
Okay, all right, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Let me pull my thing back out. That sounded terrible. I'm at my phone. Well, did you know that for $0 a month, that's right, no dollars, you can help support our show by rating it and reviewing it on whatever you're listening to it on right now?
Yes, and the second thing that you could do that would be really, really helpful is if you could tell a friend about our podcast, because word of mouth is the number one reason somebody tries a new podcast.
And we would love if you would interact with us and add us into all the social media things with us. So find us on Instagram at rebootypod. You can also email us at rebootypod@gmail.com. We love hearing your feedback, and we would also love to hear your recommendations for future episodes.
That's right. We also have a Patreon, as we just mentioned. It's patreon.com/nandmatt. We do bonus episodes once a month where we review movies most often. Sometimes we play games and have a whole back catalog, so you should check that out.
Yes, and thanks so much for listening to Rebooty and the Beast.
See you next week with
Bye.
Psycho.
Ooh, get Psycho. Or don't. Bye.